This is day 59 of me building a crypto personal brand in public until I hit $1 million in revenue. So how these videos normally work is first I'm going to start off with a progress update on my journey. So what am I actually doing right now, today, in order to move closer to this goal? And also, what am I going to be working on next to try to move closer to this goal? And also, I'm going to be publicly sharing my strategies, tactics, and any lessons that I learn along the way. Okay, let's get started with a progress update. So the first thing that I want to quickly cover is I actually used to do a Q&A in these progress update videos. The last time that I did this, the video was almost 3 hours long, and I got a lot of feedback from my audience saying stuff like, I don't want to sit through a 3 hour video just to see one of my questions answered. Like, I don't care about the other questions. I only want to see my question answered, right? So what I did was I removed the Q&A from these progress updates. And what I'm going to be doing from now on is, let me just zoom in, is every single question, instead of having all of them bundled in one video, I've cut and clipped them so that each question is its own individual video, and I've thrown it into a Q&A playlist on this specific channel. That way, if someone has a very specific question that they want answered, then they just watch the video and they don't waste their time on clicking on a video that they don't care about, right? So that means that the value per second, actually goes up, right? Because if someone watches a 1 hour long clip of 1 hour video of mine, but they only got value in 10 minutes out of this 1 hour, then that is not great. I would much rather just have the person just watch 10 minutes of my stuff, and this entire 10 minutes is all valuable. And the other 50 minutes of stuff, if they don't find it valuable, then they shouldn't waste their time, right? I don't want to waste the time of my audience. I want every minute or every hour that they spend watching my content to be like giving them as much relevant value or relevant information to what they actually want, right? And this is important to me because this is going, like, why is this important? Because it helps convert free users into paid, right? So the function of doing this, it serves as an absolutely fantastic method for nurturing my leads, right? So if someone just discovers me, they just so happen to magically discover my YouTube account, or they just so magically happen to discover me on X, and then they happen to find one of my YouTube videos from X, then instead of them wasting their time with my super duper lengthy videos, they can just instantly start consuming the bite-sized videos that they actually find relevant. So I'm actually really happy with that. Oh, and from now on, every single time that I get asked some kind of question, I'm gonna record the video, throw it onto the updates channel, and then that way this can benefit all of my leads. So it's just going to help speed up this conversion process, which is nice, right? Okay, so that is the first thing in terms of the progress update. So I made there's like quite a big change to this YouTube channel. Okay, let's go through my roadmap then. So I'll just quickly go through phase one. So everything to do with X. So the main goal here was to get X systematized to the point where where it's like almost fully auto, but it's still generating leads. So over the past month, I managed to get 467 followers. Each of these are leads, by the way, which can maybe in the future get converted into a paying customer. So that's cool. X is going completely fine. Over the past few weeks, though, it's definitely felt like my engagement has definitely taken quite a hit. And I was thinking like, oh boy, like how many comments that I'm getting, how many likes and bookmarks that I'm getting on a weekly or daily basis definitely feels like it's really dropped off compared to what I was getting before. And I was actually starting to get a little bit concerned. So I looked at the numbers, how many times I'm posting and how many clicks that I'm getting. Well, in February and March, I literally didn't even post 100 times. Right? Not even 100 posts. And I dropped how frequently I'm posting by like more than 50%. And then how many profile clicks that I'm getting, this also dropped by about 50% or more than 50%. So this makes complete sense, right? This makes perfect sense. And oh, by the way, the reason why I'm tracking clicks is because my profile click to follower conversion rate, it's somewhere between 20 to 30%. And this has maintained itself throughout this entire like throughout this entire time. So that is pretty cool. So that's the main reason why I'm mainly looking at profile clicks rather than anything else. Okay, let's move on. So phase one I finished on the 4th of November last year in 2025. But phase two, I got finished on the 13th of January 2026, and this was just launching the Telegram. Like this was the main goal, but I finished each of these steps only just recently. So the goal of phase two is to launch the Telegram and start pulling my followers on X into my Telegram. And I have about 1.3k members right now, which is super, super cool. And yes, how many new members that I'm getting, it has massively dropped off, but I'm not concerned because this is just linked. Like this is just a byproduct of this, right? So this isn't really a problem. Like if I was to crank this up back into the 200 or 300 posts per month, then probably what I will see is this will return back to normal numbers, and this will probably start going up as well. So no issues there. But yeah, only just recently I finished building the trading journal and the report card. And actually what I did was I merged both of these into one, which is super cool. And that was like the last step that I wanted to take with anything to do with Telegram. So I wrote a 100-page momentum strategy guide. I wrote a 214-page mean reversion strategy guide. I built a journal and I built a report card. Now this is done and it feels like I have a lot of weight off my shoulders. So I'm super happy about that. And now I'm in phase three. And the main goal of phase three is to launch my main YouTube channel and to start posting high quality content on the main channel. So I have, as I mentioned before, I actually have two channels. So this one is just my unfiltered, unedited ramblings and the short Q&A clips. And on the main channel, this is where I'm strictly going to do long format educational videos with as much value as possible crammed into them. So this channel is mainly for long stuff. This channel is just for short clips. And yeah, sure, I could just have both, like I could just have everything on one channel, but I think this is actually a better approach. And I've seen other people on YouTube take this approach as well, because this actually, apparently, it helps train the algorithm a little bit better. So like your long stuff will get thrown to the people who really want the long stuff. And if you have all of your short stuff mixed with all of your long stuff, allegedly it fatigues the audience. I don't know, because I don't even have that many videos uploaded. I don't know anything about YouTube. But yeah, this is just allegedly, right? So I'm just following what the big boys are doing on YouTube. But yeah, so far I'm actually really happy with everything that I'm doing with the Q&A clips. I have 51 Q&A clips uploaded, which is super sick. Like this is really good progress on my end. But okay, what am I actually working on right now? Like what's next? So the goal of phase three is to get all of my beginner trading videos out of the way. And there are two reasons why I think this is really important. So reason one is because I get a lot of messages from beginner traders on X, on YouTube, asking me the same repetitive beginner type of questions. It will always look something like, I'm a complete beginner, I don't know where to start, there's so much content on YouTube, what do I do? And every single time I have to redirect them to a mixture of other people's content. Like I'll say, first watch content from this guy. Then once you're done with this, move on to this next piece of content from like some other complete different guy. And then once you're done with this, then you can start watching this third playlist of videos, which is from a third guy, right? So I'm redirecting my lead to other people, which is not ideal. It would make so much more sense if a beginner asks me a question that I just give them all of my own material. And not have them overwhelmed by being like, okay, first watch this guy, then watch the second guy, and then finally watch the third guy. It would be so much easier, and it would make so much more sense to just redirect them to one of my playlists on YouTube, and it will say something like start here. And it's just like video 1, 2, 3, everything is like in a really clean, organized, structured manner. And the beginner consumes all of the content. They get as much value as possible. They don't feel lost, and they're not jumping between person to person. They just consume everything from me. And it's like, okay, that just makes the most amount of sense. Like, why am I redirecting them to someone else when they could just be consuming my content? And so that's the first thing. And also, beginner content is literally the easiest type of content to make. It requires the least amount of technical skill. So it's like the lowest hanging fruit to ever possibly cover, like to ever possibly create. Like you can't get easier than beginner level, right? So I might as well just get it done. Like I might as well, right? And what I mean by that, like what specific content I'm talking about is, well, I wanted a guide on how to use the journal, and I wanted a guide on how to actually get better. So if this is where your current skill level is and you want to get here, it's a math problem. So first we have to like measure what is the distance from A to B. So there we go. We have to get a feel for what this distance actually is. And then the second thing is we have to actually start moving in this direction. So if you're completely standstill, you will never go from A to B. If you're actually moving, then you have a shot at getting from A to B. But if you're moving at a really slow speed, then it will take you an eternity to go from A to B. If you're moving at a fast speed, then you can get from A to B in a reasonable period of time. If the speed that you're moving from A to B is increasing over time as well, then that's even better, right? So I cover all of that in this video, and I think that this is like one of those videos which I think is which can be universally watched. So what I mean by that is a beginner can watch it, an intermediate trader can watch it, and even an advanced trader can watch it. Not only that, but the concepts that I shared in the video, they also apply to stuff which is unrelated to trading. This is just improving at stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that I got those two out of the way. What's next is I'm going to have to create a TradingView tutorial and also a crypto exchange tutorial. You would be surprised by the sheer volume of people who don't know how to use TradingView and who don't know how to use a crypto exchange, but is still slinging huge amounts of money in their trades. So like, I'm going to say that again because it's wild to me. There are people who don't know how to use TradingView. There are people who don't know how to use a crypto exchange, but despite them not knowing how to use an exchange, they're still throwing like 6-7 figures on the exchange and just like blatantly gambling, going gung-ho, right? So I want to create some tutorials on these two things. And then finally, this is something that I'm super duper excited for. I'm going to get this out of the, so quick context. All of these materials, all of the articles that I've made, the 8 articles, the 70 threads that I wrote, the 100-page guide, the 214-page guide, all of the Q&A, the journal, the report card, the tutorial on how to use the journal, the guide on how to improve, all of that, it is all leading up to this. I've spent so much time preparing for this video. So seeing that I have only 2 steps left before I can start actually tackling this, I'm super excited. So let me explain what this video is. This video is going to be probably the most in-depth video, or the most in-depth piece of content that I've ever created. And it's what its function is going to be is basically, it's a full course to go from absolute beginner to profitable. That's basically what it is. And simultaneously, it's going to be diagnosing the exact point of where someone is in their trading journey, identify what constraint are they actually experiencing right now in this moment of time, and what is the solution to that constraint, and the step-by-step on how to actually execute that solution. The point of the video is to basically identify the constraint of the viewer and give them a step-by-step instruction guide on how to solve the next constraint. And then once that constraint is solved, immediately in the video, it's going to show what is their next constraint that they're going to experience, and also how to solve that one. So they can always just keep, like, they identify their constraint, they grind, work really hard, they solve it, and then they ascend to the next constraint, and they don't have to feel stuck. They can have a guide telling them exactly what, they don't have to guess what their next problem is. It's just going to be there highlighted for them with the solution. So this is the goal of this video, is to over deliver on value like as much as humanly possible. And the byproduct of that, I assume this is going to be the case, and I also really hope that this is going to be the case. I really hope that this video and the resources that I provide in this video, because like in the description, I'm going to have like a whole bunch of resources for each specific step and each specific problem. I'm hoping that this video is going to be responsible for most of my free to paid conversion. Like if someone was to consume a piece of video and then convert into a paying user, and then once I get them on a sales call, and if I ask something like, so what was it that made you, like what was the thing that made you come to me? Like what was the thing that that really made you want to become a paying customer? They will likely say, it was this, right? So that's why I'm super duper excited about this. Super, super, super excited. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, I said reason 2. So there were 2 reasons. So yeah, the first reason is if I complete all of this, it's just going to be super easy for me to handle beginners. I don't have to send them this weird copy paste message with like 2 or 3 different guys and different video content to watch. Instead, I just give them a single copy paste message, and it just links them to a playlist of mine, and they just go through the playlist, and I don't have to worry, and everything just becomes really, really smooth and streamlined. But reason number 2 why this is so beneficial for me, and why I'm currently working on this so heavily, is because okay, I want to explain it visually. If this circle represents all of the leads that I'm getting who end up becoming paid customers, there is going to be a certain subsection of this group which would have consumed some of my content, right? Some of these guys would have barely consumed any of my content, and then another group has been like consuming a decent chunk of my content, and then an even smaller group is like a complete hardcore super fan, and they've basically watched all of my content like hardcore religiously, and followed all of the steps and all of the guides, and they have all of the resources that I've provided. Now, my goal over time is to increase both of these segments. So ideally I have more of my leads to have consumed. Ideally, I want more of my leads to have consumed some of my content, and that's just going to lead to more of my leads to have consumed all of my content before they become paying customers. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because if someone starts working with me on day 1 and they've already read the momentum guide, they've already read the mean reversion guide, they already have a journal and a report card, and they've had some experience with using it. They know how to use TradingView, they know how to use an exchange, they know exactly what their constraint is and how to solve it, and they just want to work through the process at a faster speed, and they're not a complete beginner. Life just becomes so much easier, not just for me, but for them as well, right? Like I am not really too much of a fan of someone converting into a paying customer, and then on our first one-on-one call, I have to explain to them, or I have to handhold them with getting set up on TradingView, and they're paying for this. It feels weird. It feels really weird to be on a call with someone and walking them through the absolute level 1 basics of like getting set up on TradingView and getting set up on a crypto exchange. Ideally, I want to do as little of that as possible. Working with complete raw beginners, it makes me feel uncomfortable. Not only that, but like if we have to spend the first month, let's say if the duration of a service is 6 months, and I have to spend the first 1 month of the student's journey just getting them up to speed, then they only have 5 months remaining to go and try and achieve their desired outcome. In comparison to someone who's already watched all of this stuff, consumed all of it, they're on the same page as me, then they from day 1, we don't have to waste time. We can just immediately get into the stuff which actually helps them get their desired outcome at a faster speed, right? So we don't have to waste time on like basic training. We're just like immediately getting into it, right? So this is going to really help with that, I assume. Okay, so we covered phase 3. What am I actually going to be working on next? So the thing that I'm going to be working on next is I want to build a really clean and clean, squeaky clean onboarding process. Okay, there we go. I said it correctly. A squeaky clean onboarding process. So what I mean by onboarding is like getting someone set up in the Discord, getting them to understand how does the Discord work, getting them set up with the right platforms, getting them to build a schedule, getting them to understand how is this product or service actually going to work for them, so on and so forth, such that they are ready to start actually receiving service, right? And this is super important for me to get right, because the first 10% of someone's journey, it really dictates how the rest of their journey is gonna go and how it's gonna feel like. So, for example, if someone has a 6-month program, so 180 days, and it is critical for me to make sure that their experience in the first 18 days is as good as possible, and so that their motivation is as high as possible, because first impressions really matter. Not only that, but I want everything to be so easy and simple and smooth for them as possible during this period of time, because I remember like long time ago, I joined the Discord to teach people how to flip shoes. So like you would go to a store, you would buy sneakers at a retail price, and then you would sell them on eBay for a significantly higher price. Yeah, things like that. Not just sneakers, but it would be like other obscure random items as well, which were like mispriced by retail. Okay, anyway, I won't go into the details, but the point is that I joined the paid Discord specifically for this. The onboarding was like really weak, and but like I still like it wasn't that bad, but like it was bad, right? It was manageable, but it was bad, and it was frustrating. And that frustration caused me to feel some like subtle resentment towards the group, and also I was like a lot less motivated to like really get on with it. And then also there was a lot of stuff which didn't make sense in the onboarding, and I had to keep asking questions, and it's really frustrating to just join like a new community, and know that you are a beginner, and spam the group with beginner, like really low level type of questions, even though like I was fully aware that okay, I'm going to be asking a whole bunch of questions and this is how I'm supposed to learn. But I felt shy, and I felt friction and some form of resistance when asking really low level beginner type of questions, like I don't know how to get set up on this platform. Which button am I supposed to click now? Like really basic stuff, like not complex questions, but like super duper basic, like level one type of questions. And it felt embarrassing. It really did. And I don't want my students to feel embarrassed. I want them to ask. I still want them to ask a lot of questions, but I don't want them to feel embarrassed about the type of questions that they are asking, right? I don't want them to ask me 20 different questions like, what button do I click? The journal is broken. What do I do? What button do I click now? Like, I don't want them to feel like a noob. I want them to feel like a student who is learning at a fast speed, right? So during this onboarding process, I want everything to be squeaky clean, super smooth, super easy, with like checklists, really easy to understand guides for the student to follow. This is like the main thing that I'm going to be working on next. The other thing is I'm going to create a flowchart for the student journey. And I'll explain why this is really important in a second. So like step 1, the student does this. Then step 2, the student does this other thing. Then step 3, the student does this other thing. This is going to be really useful because I'll be able to identify like where is the constraint of the student journey. At which step do people normally get stuck on which steps are unnecessary and actually can be removed. Which steps maybe need to get improved over time. In which areas do we maybe need like an extra step to go through before we progress onto the next stage, right? So I want like a clear flowchart of the entire journey, so that it makes it really easy for me from like a management perspective to understand how can I actually improve the product or the service, right? And the third thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to create student task trackers to track the progress of students. So what I mean by this, I'm going to have to create like some kind of internal documents where I'm logging and tracking when does a student start step one and when do they finish step one and move on to step two. And this is going to be useful because, one second, this is going to be useful because I'll be able to understand how long does it actually take to go from step one to step two. It's like, okay, well, this one took 1 day. From 2 to 3, it took 10 days. And then from 3 to 4, it took, let's say, 2 days. So if I ask the question, what is the constraint of the student journey? The answer instantly becomes crystal clear. I don't even have to use my brain. I can just instantly just see, okay, very obviously, there is some kind of problem that exists in this transition period of completing step 2 and starting step 3. It's either completing step 2 is really hard or harder than it's supposed to be, or starting step 3 is harder than it's supposed to be. Either way, this is where the problem is, and I don't have to waste any time thinking about step 1 or waste any time thinking about step 4. I just can laser focus on fixing up whatever is going on in this phase. So this is going to be really useful because, yeah, I'm going to be tracking how long does it take each student to move through each phase. The other thing which is going to be really interesting is taking advantage of negative feedback. So what I mean by this is, let's say I hop on a one-on-one call with a student and the student gives me negative feedback about step 5. So let's say they complain about step 5. They say, this step really stressed me out. I had a lot of issues with it. It made me feel grumpy, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't actually necessarily mean that step 5 is the problem. It could actually potentially mean that there might have actually been a problem with step 4 and the transition to step 5 was not smooth. Let me give you an analogy to help explain this. So imagine there's a person and this person is complaining about a pain in their knee, right? They're saying, my knee hurts. This doesn't actually necessarily mean that the problem, that the root cause of this pain is in the knee. It could actually be in the hip. And the goal of the person treating this person, they will say, we don't need to work on your knee at all. The problem is actually in your hip. It's your hip which is causing the problem in the knee. The pain in the knee is just a byproduct of the issue that you have going on with your hip, even though there is no pain in the hip that you're experiencing. And this is like very common in like a common thing that happens in like medical practice, that someone will, a patient will complain about a problem that they have, but actually the cause of the problem is not the thing that they're complaining about, it is something else. So I'll be able to take advantage of negative feedback on a particular step to help to look through this flowchart and to much easier diagnose like where is the actual root cause of all of the negative feedback that I'm getting on this particular step, right? So this is going to be super duper duper useful. Yeah, I think I covered everything. Yeah, I think I covered everything. Okay, in terms of like strategies and tactics and lessons that I'm learning along the way, let's think of tactics. Okay, I think I covered this before, but the long videos that I'm going to be posting on YouTube, I will likely recycle them on Twitter, and I'll see how that goes. And the format of that, this is like the meta on Twitter right now that I've seen people reuse over and over again and seems to perform well. They will say something like, I made a video about this topic. Here are the timestamps. And then it will give all of the timestamps. And then they just post the video as is, just like that. And apparently this format, or like just based on what I've seen, and this doesn't just apply to crypto or like the trading space, this applies to like other educational fields on Twitter as well. This format does like actually surprisingly well. I've seen several posts in this format do really similar engagement numbers to that of articles. So I'm definitely going to have to experiment with it. So again, if you didn't catch that, I made a video about this topic, timestamps. Literally, that's it. Like that's literally it. There's no fancy hook. There's no like, oh, here's what you're going to get in this video. You're going to learn about blah, blah, blah. There's like none of that. It's literally, I made a video on this topic, timestamps, and then it just covers the timestamps or the top, like literally that's it. And those videos happen to perform outrageously well. Sorry, outrageously better than what I thought they would perform like. So yeah, I'm definitely going to experiment with that. But yeah, to wrap this up, during, I would say, the next 30 days of me sprinting on this, I expect my X engagement to continue tanking. I expect stuff in my Telegram to get worse as well during this 30-day window of time. What I mean by worse, let me reword that. I don't expect my Telegram to grow at all or barely during the next 30 days. But I think engagement inside the Telegram should remain pretty much the same, because I think that as I post and release more of these stuff, I'm going to keep the Telegram updated with what I'm actually doing. So I think that will be fine. But yeah, I don't need to, again, this is just me talking to myself now. I don't need to stress about leads. I don't need to stress about followers. Why? Because it's not my constraint. What is my constraint? I don't have an onboarding process at all. So I have to go and build that out. That is like that's the super duper important step. What comes after what is this? Phase 4? I'm going to have to start to build out the sales process. So I want to launch a 30-day free mentorship. And the goal of this free 30-day mentorship is basically to run the test on the student journey, get some test data to work with, and then just immediately get the low-hanging fruit out of the way, grab some testimonials and reviews and feedbacks, all of that stuff, with basically no pressure, because it's literally free, right? It's literally free. So that's basically the plan. Get all of this out of the way, and then start preparing to launch the free mentorship. And before I can actually launch this, I'm going to have to create some kind of sales process for this. You might think, well, hold on. What do you mean sales process? It's free. There is no selling that is occurring. I still want to get some practice repetitions of getting the student to book a call with me jumping on a call with them and double checking to see, are they actually they first have to fill out an application form so that I can read it. If they're qualified, we'll jump on a call. Once we jump on a call together, I'll basically vibe check them and see, do I actually want to work with this person, yes or no? And are they even qualified to work with me, yes or no? So I'll get some practice repetitions with that as well. And I think that's important because I want to get some practice under my belt before I start jumping on some real sales calls. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good fun. But yeah, I think I covered everything in this video, so I can wrap up there. If you're still watching, thank you so much for your time and attention. I will do another one of these videos as soon as I complete everything here in phase 4. Once again, thank you for watching.